Our story begins in the city of Argos, where King Perseus received a horrifying prophecy from the oracle of Delphi. He would one day be killed by his own grandson. Terrified, Perseus imprisoned his only daughter, the beautiful Danae, in a bronze, underground chamber to prevent her from ever marrying or having children. However, the king of the gods, Zeus, had other plans. He desired Danae and, in a shower of golden rain, descended into her chamber. From this divine union, Danae bore a son, Perseus. When Perseus discovered the boy, he was enraged and refused to believe Zeus was the father. Unwilling to kill them directly and risk the wrath of the gods, he locked Danae and the infant Perseus in a large wooden chest and cast them into the sea. After days adrift at the mercy of the waves, the chest washed ashore on the island of Seriphos. A kindly fisherman named Dictys discovered it and rescued the mother and child. Dictys, who was the brother of the island's king, Polydectes, took them in and raised Perseus as his own son. Years passed, and Perseus grew into a strong and courageous young man. King Polydectes, however, had become infatuated with Danae, who continuously rejected his advances. He knew that Perseus was the only thing standing in his way, so he devised a plan to get rid of him. Polydectes announced he was collecting horses for a marriage gift to get another woman, Hippodamia. At a public feast, Perseus, having no wealth to offer, boldly proclaimed he would give the king any gift he desired, even the head of the Gorgon Medusa. This was exactly what Polydectes wanted. He immediately held Perseus to his word, demanding the Gorgon's head as his wedding gift. Medusa used to be a breathtakingly beautiful mortal woman, with particularly magnificent hair. She was a devoted priestess of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war. As a priestess, she was sworn to a life of chastity and purity, but the god of the sea, Poseidon, was captivated by Medusa's beauty. He pursued her, and in a sacred act of desecration, he assaulted her in the temple of Athena. Athena was enraged at Poseidon for desecrating her temple, but because of his great influence, she could do nothing against him. Instead, Athena directed her rage at the victim. Medusa's beautiful hair was turned into a writhing nest of venomous snakes. Her face became so horrifying that any living creature who looked directly upon it would be turned to stone. She was exiled to a remote, dark cave at the edge of the world, where she lived with her two sisters, Steno and Euryale. The task was meant to be a death sentence. Medusa was just too powerful. Seeing the plight of his mortal son, Zeus intervened. He persuaded other gods to aid Perseus. The messenger god Hermes gave him a legendary, adamantine sword, curved like a sickle, capable of cutting through anything. The goddess Athena, who had her own grudge against Medusa, gave him a highly polished bronze shield. From the Stygian nymphs, Perseus needed 3 more items, but only the Graeae, 3 ancient hags who were sisters to the Gorgons and shared a single eye and tooth between them, knew their location. Perseus waited in their cave, and when one sister passed the eye to another, he snatched it. He refused to return it until they told him where to find the nymphs. From the nymphs, he received the final tools for his quest. The cap of Hades, a helmet that rendered the wearer invisible. A pair of winged sandals that allowed him to fly. A magical kibyssus, a satchel, that could safely contain the Gorgon's head. Guided by Athena and Hermes, Perseus flew to the ends of the earth, to the remote, grim cave where the Gorgons dwelled. The cave was surrounded by the stone statues of men and animals who had dared to look upon the monsters. Using Athena's brilliant shield as a mirror, Perseus approached the sleeping Gorgons without looking at them directly. He had to be careful, for while Medusa was mortal, her 2 sisters were not. He identified Medusa by her reflection, her serpent hair writhing even in her sleep. While hovering above her, using his winged sandals, and looking only at her reflection in the shield, Perseus raised Hermes' sword. In one swift, decisive stroke, he decapitated Medusa. From her severed neck sprang 2 creatures, the winged horse Pegasus and the giant Chrysaor, offspring of her union with Poseidon. Perseus, wearing the cap of invisibility, quickly snatched up the head, stuffed it into the kibyssus, and fled the enraged Gorgon sisters who could not see him. And so, with cunning, divine aid, and his own courage, Perseus completed his impossible task. His journey home would be filled with more adventures, including rescuing the princess Andromeda from a sea monster. But the defeat of the monstrous Medusa remained his greatest and most famous triumph.